Zod Moore here, and we're watching blastaumashd reacts to the dumb people, the ways they die. It's actually part 9. If you want to see the rest of the parts, you gotta just watch dumb ways people died. And yes, check it out. There's gonna be parts of this as it's like 25 minutes long.
Also sent the revelers falling directly onto the blazing hot brick cover of a furnace vat filled with molten glass.
Oh my god, what it is, guys? It's your boy blastaumashd, and today we have a video that you guys have sent me in the DMs of the new Discord because the last one burned to smithereens. With that being said, somehow there are still people in the world who are dying in dumber ways, which is why we're here to watch extremely embarrassing ways that people have died.
Let's do this.
Dumb. Because they don't want to follow the rules. Keep it on the mask.
Dumpster Drank.
Ooh.
Of all the places you should never gather a nice refreshing drink from, a landfill site is pretty high on the list. Or at least it should be. But for one couple from Belarus, a landfill seemed just as good as a convenience store for acquiring drinks back in October 2020.
A couple? As in more than one person? How dumb you gotta be for your boyfriend to convince you to sample trash with your mouth, nonetheless? You know, not that there's any other place you would sample it from, but still.
While scouring the local dump, as you do, a man found this bottle filled with a mysterious murky liquid and took the bottle home to share its contents with his wife. It seemed the pair assumed it contained some perfectly safe-to-drink homemade hooch, and like a nice bottle of wine after a hard day's work, popped it open to share.
Hooch rhymes with gooch, and I would never drink from
Are this couple broke or dumb?
She were attractive. We gonna edit that out.
Unsurprisingly, the next day, the couple became extremely ill, and while emergency services were called, it proved too late. The concoction in the bottle, it turned out, had indeed been homemade alcohol, but its owner had seemingly disposed of it after realizing it wasn't very good at all. In fact, it was completely poisonous. As a result, the couple kicked the bucket together, after what might be considered the worst romantic dinner of all time. Pretty dumb, right?
There's a lesson in all this, folks. Don't eat ass. It could kill you.
On the fence. Some people will go to great lengths to protect their personal possessions.
That's a good movie. Go see it. Wolf of Wall Street.
But one Brazilian man's desperation to keep his car safe from thieves back in 2010 proved to be his downfall. As robberies were becoming increasingly frequent in his local area, the fellow decided to keep his car protected by building a miniature electric fence around it. Only this wasn't any old touch it and get a slightly uncomfortable warning shock kind of fence. This one was amped up and designed to hurt a lot. For a while, it seemed to work well, seeing as nobody stole the car. But things soon came to a shocking conclusion. When, on one occasion, he forgot he'd left the electric fence turned on when he attempted to move it aside to get into his car. He was electrocuted, and he'd built his contraption with such a high current that it killed him. Talk about being your own worst enemy. A refreshing swim. How far would you go to save your phone? Would you be crazy enough to dive into an icy, partially frozen river to retrieve it?
Never.
Well, one man from Detroit
my information
did exactly that in February 2020.
Black people are tropical people. We do not fox with the cold. Why y'all think ice hockey is the only sport that black people ain't really dominating? But the minute they make an ice hockey rink with a heated floor, I will be in there.
No, I'm
sorry,
I'm a swimmer.
Ice skating. I just like to feel my gooch more because when it's frozen, it's just numbness. So I can't.
While fishing for a large hole he cut out of the ice, the fellow accidentally dropped his phone into the water. Clearly lacking in any notion of self-preservation, he dove straight into the hole after it. Unfortunately, he failed to realize that sudden submersion in ice-cold water can be pretty bad for the human body.
Yeah,
It can send you into shock, can instantly paralyze your muscles if you haven't received training beforehand, and can even cause a heart attack due to intense constriction of your blood vessels. Whether one of these physiological problems took hold or whether he simply became disoriented under the ice remains unclear. All we know for sure is that he didn't re-emerge until several hours later, when emergency responders pulled his lifeless body from the water.
Well, look at the bright side. At least technically you didn't lose your contact list. We're going to edit that out.
We can only assume he must have had a glorious collection of cute animal pics on his phone to make jumping into icy doom seem worth it.
Deepfake porn. Lots of deepfake
Lesson
porn.
not learned. As the COVID-19 pandemic came into full swing in 2020, it brought a lot of Darwin Award contenders out of the woodwork. One example occurred at a Serbian Orthodox church in November 2020, following the death of a high-ranking bishop. The bishop's death had been caused by coronavirus, yet the funeral held at the church showed no regard at all for the types of conditions that led to such an infection.
I'm not
surprised. The funeral was essentially a checklist of everything you shouldn't do if you want to avoid the disease. There was large crowds in an enclosed space, countless people being fed Holy Communion from the same unwashed spoon, and of course, countless people kissing the hand of the recently deceased, who, I must reiterate, died of coronavirus. On top of that, there were only a handful of people wearing masks. In a twist you probably saw coming,
no, I would have not been there in
immediately after the funeral, the church patriarch who organized and led the event also became seriously ill with COVID-19. He too died, having willingly failed to respect the advice of scientists on one of the most serious health disasters of the past 100 years. I just hope his funeral was a little more restrained.
Maybe.
Clothesline. There are many dangers facing motorcyclists on the road, but one of the greatest of all is a rider's own recklessness. This was proven one morning in 2008, when one motorcyclist took the ride of a lifetime near Manasota Key in Florida. Witnesses reported seeing the risky rider, wearing nothing but swim trunks and sneakers, speeding towards the Manasota Key drawbridge.
The ride of a lifetime don't even sound good, unless it's involving like an in-shape, attractive female or something. I don't even. Maybe you should come to my house. It's the ride of a lifetime because I've got syphilis.
Which was in the process of being raised up.
What?
He ignored the flashing red lights warning drivers to stay away from the bridge, and instead attempted to accelerate.
He was trying to Fast and Furious to it. They go over the bridge, but they make it because they use the NOS at the last second. He tried to do that,
hoping to jump the ever-growing gap.
Oh boy.
Newsflash, he didn't make it. He'd failed to spot the safety gate arms, which had already descended. He crashed head first straight into one of the gates and was instantly swept from his bike and onto the asphalt, while the bike itself continued up the ramp across the gap to the other side.
Made it!
At least one of them made it across.
Yeah!
He could have made it. He could have made it.
Point. On May 19th, 1885, a man named Robert Emmett Odlum set out to be the first man to jump into New York City's East River from the Brooklyn Bridge. His reasons for this strange aspiration were surprisingly well-meaning for the most part. First and foremost, he sought to prove that, against the commonly held beliefs of the time, people did not die by simply falling through the air. He hoped this demonstration would encourage people to be willing to jump from burning buildings into the safety net in the incident of a fire, as people were too distrusting of this idea at the time. He also hoped to achieve some fame in proving it was safe. But unfortunately, any hopes he'd had of reassuring people about the safety of leaping from great heights were soon dashed when it came time to jump. As Odlum leapt from the bridge's roadway 130 feet up, he attempted to stay straight in the air, but a strong wind blew him into a diagonal angle of descent. This meant, when he eventually struck the water, the angle of impact caused some serious damage. Slapping the water at approximately 62 miles per hour, it exerted enough force to rupture his spleen, liver, and kidneys, and break several of his ribs.
That was his fault.
The official cause of death, however, was declared to be concussion. On the bright side, people now know that rapidly falling doesn't kill you as much as the landing. In the words of British TV legend Jeremy Clarkson, speed has never killed anyone. Suddenly becoming stationary, that's what gets you.
Look at the bright side. At least no one played I Believe I Can Fly during the times when those guys...
No, we played it.
Hazard prevention. Sometimes you really have to wonder about people's sense of logic. Case in point, two guys who suddenly landed on the sense of hazard awareness after doing something incredibly dangerous and stupid back in 2002. In a farm field in Pennsylvania, two friends were practicing their marksmanship by shooting, not at bottles or cans, but the electrical insulators holding power lines aloft overhead. After shooting 6 of the insulators off of 2 utility poles, a live, high-voltage wire fell to the ground, risking setting the entire surrounding field ablaze. Suddenly seized by an uncharacteristic sense of health and safety, one of the men rushed over to the wire and attempted to pick it up to move it to prevent danger.
No, that's dumb!
The powerful current passed through him and he was fatally electrocuted. The lesson? If you're going to suddenly grow a conscience, maybe try doing it before you do something lethally stupid.
Alright. Wait. Part 1's done. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.